data on aquifers, as we said, that might be impacted by that? What will happen with all the stick machines, with all the dust that comes out, which is contamination, right? Because it's right here, right? And I think that's fine for now. Yeah.
They did not accept the recommendations we made to avoid some of those problems, and they have not done any deep core sampling in active, to assess water depth and pressures. They've only done that in the forest. However, the only options we were given before this last option came up was, large areas that were going to be above ground and active. And so that meant the underground portion, because there were going to be underground portions in active, were going to be about 100 feet shallower than what they're going to be now. So they did talk about that at the meeting, and they said that the way they build the tunnel, it drills, as it drills, it puts up the wall components almost contemporaneously, almost at the same time. And that they don't believe, their engineers don't believe that there's any high pressure water, not a water body, but water courses, underground water courses in our part of the community and our part of where this project is. So they do believe that's going to happen in the mountain areas that tell you where this really.
So are they going to dig in? That also may affect the natural level of the above ground for people who live surrounding it.
I agree, and we were really hit by COVID because we had a group of people, and you were one of them, together to really hit the ground running when the CIR came out, and then COVID just destroyed everything. So we tried to pick up the pieces when the draft EIR came out. They told us that the most shallow area in active will be more than 100 feet deep. So, and in other areas, of course, like I calculated it would be well below Pam's well, for example, because she's, so all the residences on wells who I worked with and mapped their area and determined for them how deep it was going to be, they were all lower than their wells. That's not to say that's the case for everybody, because I didn't talk to everybody in active, but so it's still a concern. You
don't expect any tremor.
I'm sorry? Well, it's 100 feet deep, and so that's normally, like, if you've ever been to New York, you might feel the draft coming up, but you don't feel the ground shake, and that's on solid rock, so you think you feel it. We're more clayish here, but that is their expectation. I can't speak for their engineers. That's what they told us. But they have also told us that if anybody has water, when they get closer to doing final design, they're going to reach out to everybody who has a property that they're going under and confirm whether they have a well, where the well is, and work out with them if it's going to have a problem. And if it is going to have a problem, they're going to collaborate with either new wells drilled, or, so that's the commitment they made. It's the best I could do. So.
Have they picked a route? Because last time I got an email from them, they still had 3 routes they were going to take.
Yeah, they got it to 5. But the one that the preferred route that they said they were going to pick on the day I went to the meeting is the full underground with the deepest with the tunnels being the deepest in the community.
Is it close to the 14 or out more out?
Yeah, it's sort of, so what the one place where they're going to, is this on the agenda?
It is.
Okay, yeah, so let's
And where's the dirt? Where does the dirt go? It stays down.
And anyone else can jump in. But, okay, so the route on the preferred alternative, as Don said, there was a bunch of routes, so they were a bunch of places. But the preferred alternative that they They said they were going to pick, again, I didn't see the vote on the second day, but I believe they voted on it, yes. They have a portal, is what I'm going to call it, but it's an area where they're going to start their tunneling. It's on that large piece of parcel, a large piece of property just south of the 14 freeway between Crown Valley Road and the high school. There's a large parcel there of 80 some odd acres owned by Crescent Bay Development. They were going to put a big subdivision in about 15 years ago. At any rate, so they're going to go down 100 feet from there and tunnel from there up to Palmdale. And so this, what they call the spoils, or the tailings, will come out and be loaded onto trucks and will be, I think where they're planning on putting the spoils mainly is they're filling in an area down near Lang, you know, the Lang gauging station that's had a lot of, like, yeah, just it's like an old quarry that they're going to fill back up again, I guess. And so they've committed to, we've explained to them that what we asked them to do was put temporary on-ramps and off-ramps, which they could have done on the freeway, because it's right there, right? They could have just, but they said they didn't want to do that. So they're still going to access via, I think, Antelope Woods, although they haven't made that final determination. But, and we have asked them to make sure that they don't pull these tailings out or have all these truck trips during times when parents are trying to drop off and pick up their kids. So we have that time frame that's really important. We also explained that, you know, Sierra Highway becomes a freeway, you know, from like 4 to 6:30. And so they told us they would work, and they actually put that in. They said those words to us, that they would make sure that they coordinate the timing of all of that with the community so it doesn't impact those concerns. So then there was another question.
Did you have the map that the?
I know it's on our site. It's on our site. So if you go to town-council.org, there's a whole, it'll show you all the different routes. You'll see what market.
Well, part of it, and I, you know, two meetings ago, I had 10 copies of their summaries and electronic. I didn't bring them with me tonight, and I apologize for that. I will bring them to the next meeting. Jim has some here. There's the whole EIR is here, and it's about this big. Environmental impact report, where it talks about all of these things. But Jim has
It's like nine volume.
Right.
So you can ask at my desk. I've got a print copy. You can. We're not experts in that. We're like, oh, you want to look at it here? Tell me what volume you want. So don't expect us to be able to decipher it. But it's here for you guys to review. I've also got a couple copies of that
Summary.
The USB drives.
Oh, okay.
So you can look at it on the computer digitally if you want also.
There's also a shorter document, it's only about half of this thick, right?
Yeah.
That is an executive summary that has all the routes, and I think you have
I've got a copy of that too.
You can get that from Jim too. So
I would say approximation does run parallel kind of towards up to your underground.
Yes.
So just so you kind of have an idea, it'll come. It comes out. It comes in underground to the Agua Canyon. Comes up over Agua Canyon. It goes back underground all the way through Rapids. All the way up to like roughly a line with 14.
Correct. So just west of Agua Dulce Canyon is one of their tunneling portals. So they're going to start tunneling from there towards Active. And they have this other tunneling portal at that parcel I just described, where they're going to start tunneling from there towards Palmdale. The tunnel, the train enters, and again, I don't work for high speed rail, I just spend a lot of time with it, so, you know, this is just what they told me, I'm not saying that. Yes, exactly. So, it comes out of Palmdale, it avoids Una Lake, and of course, Lake Palmdale. It crosses the San Andreas Fault above grade, because that's a requirement, and then immediately goes into a tunnel, and it does not come out of that tunnel until Agua Dulce Canyon. And it crosses sort of southern part of Peaceful Valley. I'm going from memory here, and I think that it crosses, that's what's on the north of the freeway there. It's on the south part of the freeway around Wisconsin, and that's when it kind of zooms in just underground, of course, south of the middle school, underneath the high school, all of which are on county water, so there won't be any well access to that. And then, it's on the east-west, sorry. There was another question.
So the ditch dirt's all going down Soledad, what's the transportation route for that?
I think it's probably gonna go down the freeway down to the exit probably, so probably down to Santa Clarita somewhere. City of Santa Clarita is not too thrilled with this, because, yes, they have, in the EIR, so I'm not gonna say what the numbers are, because I don't remember, and so I don't want to say them wrong. They do have an estimate of the truck trips, and we sent extensive comments in about collaborating, coordinating on their trucks, the truck trips.
And there's also an insane amount of water that is used during this, and so we stepped into making it clear that wasn't to come from.
It's got to come from AVAC.
Yeah, it can't come from our basin, so we did, at least that's what they recommended.
Yes. And that was a big, that was a big
Is the
deal.
labor all based in California
or
Los Angeles?
There were a lot of union people there, and they were all in support of it. And so I think there's a lot of collaboration between high-speed rail and local union reps. So I think that they're not bringing in labor from outside. I think I don't think that there were several unions. I don't know if they were all from the same union, but it's not, and I don't think they'd be in support of this if they perceived that their jobs were being exported. So
Nice to know there's movement to keep the.
Yeah.
Yes, I was wondering, is the proposed route that they voted on going from the library here behind Mill Valley?
no, it's shifted south.
It's south.
Yes, it's so, it's where they're going to start, they're tunneling from that large piece of property, just south of the 14 freeway, west of Crown Valley Road, east of the high school. It's a large 80 acres, so maybe larger parcel.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you for your time too, Jen.
Yeah.
Sure. It took since 2008, and Pam, she's not here today, but, to get it underground. I mean, you cannot imagine what we were looking at for about 60 years.
Just the jet taking off, like, you know.
Yeah.
So you're, oh, sorry. So I'm just curious, how would this affect that project?
Three of the routes they were going to pick would have gone right next to the vest, not unfortunately through the vest. So we destroyed it. Shouldn't have said that. But the one route they picked is, I think it's going to be north of the freeway in the vicinity of the vest. Although I can't hold you to that, I have to look at the maps.
Yeah, I have a compliance of better than I have.
Oh, well, that's the objective.
It's the end of Annapolis Road, basically, right? I mean, if you took Annapolis
Yeah,
Road,
just ran it down
I just ran it straight almost to the high school, or not almost, but for the high school.
80-acre parcel.
Right, okay, so that's the other problem.
Yeah, and I talked to the engineer there, and I told her that, you know, that lot was slated for subdivision. Our plan was, because, you know, people have a right to subdivide their property and build homes as long as they're not, you know, as long as they comply with the minimum acreage or minimum lot size. But we were going to try to collaborate with that and have them donate land for a pool or for a community pool or community facility. And I told high-speed rail people, I said, you know, your development is now sort of, you know, they're not going to do that. So we would like to talk with you about, you're getting this huge piece of property of which you're going to use a large part of it. But there's, you know, we only need a couple of acres. The Everett Martin Park and what's the other one up there, Portsville, those pool facilities with the building and parking is less than an acre and a half, or less than 2 acres. So you don't need a lot of space. And this community should have some things like that.
Yeah, when they're gonna, it's not like it's this open pit.
Correct. Well, they're going to always have a
Have some
facility
vent,
there. Yeah, and well, you know, they promised no vents, because that will be loud every time, you know. They promised no vents, goodness, but they will probably still maintain like
some kind of.
Yeah, because they gotta maintain things and stuff, so I don't think they're, no, exactly. So there's plenty, and so I talked to them about that, and they said, these are the kind of, we would love to do collaborations, we do those kind of collaborations, so talk to the engineer, so, that's something else is on our, so, so we get something out of it, because we're not, I know a lot of people in this town, and I'm one of them, I did not vote for this in 1994. I remember I voted against it and against it in 2008. When you were.
So I can say I didn't, so.
But, so we took a position, and it's pragmatic, and I think people in this town are unhappy about it, but when you just oppose a project, you take yourself out of the conversation about the project. So, and on projects like this, we said that, we opposed. But on projects like high-speed rail, you have this massive government entity, public benefit project that's not, you're never going to stop it. It's like, okay, we're going to try to figure out how to make it so it doesn't destroy our community and maybe get some benefits out of it. And that might work, so.
Maybe over the existing rail. That's what I was wondering.
Yeah.
Instead of tearing up a bunch of new land.
Yeah, they want to go 220 miles an hour. Originally in 1994.
When it was passed.
Or 96, might have been 96, I can't remember one of those two. That was the plan, but to go 200 miles an hour, you can't be doing this. So,
Unfortunately,
yeah.
Did they give a date when they're going to start? Because I was reading the Daily News, they said it looked like it wouldn't be till 2030.
September 15th.
Is that September 15, 2030?
Yeah.
No, I didn't ask that question. I was focused on, I should have asked me.
Is that the question?
Because it's taken so many decades to get this far.
Yeah.
I was just curious if I'll still be alive when these.
Right.
The budget keeps going up, and the money doesn't show up, so I don't.
So, and a lot of people have said that too, why are you wasting time on this? But the way California Environmental Quality Act works and other statutes work is that, that even if a project never looks like it's ever going to happen, the most important thing is the environmental document that gets nailed down. Because that, even if not for 25 years, they're going to build a Koyazaki plan. So it's really critical to make sure that the EIR, what's issued, doesn't destroy your community, basically.
Yeah, so basically this is the document that, it doesn't have 50 years, we're all gone, at least your kids or grandkids.
Exactly.
They'll have something to stand on as far as making sure that there's.
So really, really is important, even though it's a, whatever, a pimple on the backside of some horse or a dream that somebody died, I don't know how we're going to look at it, but it's something that the EIR is where all the work has to go, and that's where we put it.
So this is kind of like the bullet train.
It is the bullet train.
It's part of that.
Yes.
It is it.
Yeah, great project.
No limit.
Anything else on?
Yeah, I have a question again about how the community, whatever that's being built up 14 and here in Athens.
So as far as noise goes, there is no time. Anytime noise is bothering you, you call the sheriff's department.
So what was
up with that party that happened, I think it was 3-4 weeks ago?
I saw that.
It was literally, the whole neighborhood was shaking and nobody went over there and addressed it.
Did you call?
a lot of neighbors call.
Because what was that?
You don't probably want to comment. I don't know, I mean, I can probably go back and my notes and stuff, but I haven't been known to. It was at least 3 or 4 weeks ago. And it was a big party, actually a live band, and went on the like 3
Yeah,
weeks.
sure. If you wanted to know the date of the time, that's exactly what transpired, what happened. Just because sometimes we can't be contact on the website. So site, obviously, those laws change. I think we're just back to 98. We used to confiscate speakers, all that other stuff. The wine bar is big, really happened in the 90s. Laws changed. So we can cite, but we can't confiscate equipment anymore. So, that led to much, like a shooting at that party and stuff like that, and so some stuff changed. So we cited them, they want to keep on going, that's kind of their thing. They're still going to pay the fine, but as far as.
Does that go up each time they get a citation, or is it the same?
Each individual incident, so that's a continuation of the same incident of that same night.
Okay. So you really just get.
Because I'm in the morning, you go around, you call us. I would rather you call us earlier.
Yeah, but at night, there's no stop.
No, there's no time for it to not rust. Whenever problem. Sorry.
No, it's okay. So why don't we'll shuffle stuff around. So, different ideas, why don't we go to your report, and then we can do the.
Remind you, we're screwing up the agenda for today.
It's okay. We are flexible.
You have never brought props before.
I have never brought props. You're right. Props are good. So this is a map. Forget how shitty it is. It's from 2008, and I hope whoever's online, Chuck, if you're there. Sorry you can't see this. But this is the reporting area for Palm Hill. This is the area the Palm Hill Sheriff Station covers, all 770 square miles. Yep. Us and Lancaster have the two biggest reporting areas of the entire county. So you guys get a better view here. That's where it stands. Sorry, it's really crappy. One of my partners took this to a town hall meeting, decided to put it in the back of a pickup truck. It was gone for about a week and a half before a good citizen brought it back to us. Yeah, so I've never done a breakdown of this because I get this complaint a lot that you don't have any law enforcement out here. The reality is we do. So the way the county works it out is population density, area, and crime rate. That's the formula that they use in order to facilitate what. But yeah, basically they have more crime for more law enforcement for the amount of units you get. And the money comes out into two different pots. So Palmdale is a contracted city, it's like Santa Clarita. They want more units and they're able to pay for it. They get more minutes-ish. And that, I say that ish because after COVID, things changed dramatically as far as our personnel. We're working roughly with about 50% of what we used to have. So trying to fill that is very difficult. For this week, for example, I have 32 hours of overtime on top of my 40 hours of regular work. So how many units are there? So that's what getting there. I will probably answer about 90% of your questions. Let me just get through this, and I'm probably going to use all 15 of my minutes. All right, so I printed out today. Actually, was pretty good. I have all the in-services for the next 24 hours. On day shift, we had 2 units, single main units during the day. They stagger. So one starts at 6, one starts at 8, 38-hour shifts. So that they end up I don't count as part of that. I'm kind of like the extra. As far as that goes, my schedule is kind of all over the place because of meetings, call-outs, and different things that happen this week. During the summer, we also have a special unit that's no call, so they're proactive, staff-driven, county unincorporated areas, and they bounce between our area and Little Rock. On PMs, which is the shift that's going on right now, we have 2 two-man units, so each car has 2 deputies in it. So that's four deputies out, okay? And then on early mornings, it goes back to 1. Now part of the response times is there's divided in the East County and the West County. So we're right here. 2646 is going to be your Acton area. 2645 is going to be your Howard Wilson. This map has not been updated since 08, so if there's streets that you say, hey, there's a fire station there now or whatever, it just has to be updated. And the person that's intellectual property that this map belongs to will not give us a digital copy. We've asked a few times so we can reprint it, and that's why we have this. Yeah, it happens. That same cars that are handling this handle the lakes. So Lake Elizabeth, all the way to 3 Points. Okay, so that's all the way over here. So Green Valley, all that area, so that just the coverage, if you get a report call here and there, that doesn't mean that they're not going to respond to your emergent calls, because emergent calls are different. So your routine calls, so your, hey, I got a noise complaint, hey, I need a report taken, those are all routine calls. Someone's breaking in my house is an emergent call. That's different. That goes over the radio. and then it's which unit is fastest. If that happens to be a county unit, great. If it happens to be a city unit, then the city unit comes in. The west side, city units will come in usually a little bit quicker in about 10 to 12 minutes, and the city's about 15 minutes in, and then the far east side is obviously longer than that. We also cover the Angeles Forest. That's part of our area.
We have a separate unit for that number.
Yep, that's the West County units.
On the, SUV vehicles that are, you guys got funds to create a separate group that's just on the off-road vehicles.
But we have off-road vehicles. That's separate. That's not I'm saying regular patrols. Like, Redwood, we cover Mount High. That's the east side. That's not the active unit. But for example, the East County guys are going to be your Pear Blossom and Little Rock, Regano, all the way to Rectum. We cover, we got to get out in Standard Greater Medina, come back in. Anytime there's an active shooter or something crazy like that, it doesn't matter if it's one station or another. Lancaster will roll their stuff, Santa Cruz starts rolling. The other thing that Acton has that a lot of areas that don't have from the far east and far west side is you guys have county parks. Parks Bureau is a separate, completely division, not part of Pombo Station, that they go to the parks. They are on the same frequency as we are, because if they need to ask for help, we can hear them and vice versa. They are, Tiffany Mercer happens to be one of the girls that works out here. She lives out here too. She's actually really proactive on a lot of stuff. She does a lot of ops work. So they also respond to any kind of emergencies. They won't necessarily respond to a report call, but if something crazy happens or some crazy call goes out, they're very responding. So you have 2 parks units that are going between all the county parks. So they make a big loop into Lancaster. And this is a county building. There's a county building unit that his whole job is to go from county building to county building doing patrol checks. And you have the Metrolink deputies. Metrolink deputies literally drive the route of the Metrolink all the way to Lancaster, all the way back down, and they spread it out, right? But I've been on traffic stops, they stop all the time, I see them on the road all the time. So it's not like there isn't law enforcement, a lot of it has to do with the geographic size that we're dealing with. This got brought up a few years ago, and I encouraged everyone to, okay, write to the barber's office, do this, we need money, blah, blah, blah. I got pretty much told it's not a money issue, it's a personnel issue. We are dealing with, ever since COVID hit, everyone that could retire, retired. They left. This job is not what it used to be. I'm very thankful, and you guys are going to unfortunately be stuck with me for a very long time as town council, because I appreciate the community. I appreciate you guys and how I've been treated, and the danger that's involved out here, I feel is the danger I've signed up for. A lot of the stuff that's going on in the city and stuff is just out of control. There's like zero respect for law enforcement, including the community out here. A lot of people don't want to do this. It was unheard of before to have guys go through the academy, go into custody, and within a month quit. We have about 4 of those a month throughout the county. So they're already 6 months into the academy, they've gone through a whole background check and all that stuff, and they're just quitting. Because why?
Nobody's on
The respect.
Well, not only that, it's also a lot of legislation.
Well, and the overtime. I mean, the overtime.
The overtime is mandated right now. We're mandated 6 spots. You don't have to get drafted. You got to be around 7 or 8.
There were 4 suicides last year because of the overtime, wasn't there?
Some of it was attributed to that. Some of it is we got to do better.
We supported you.
I know.
Jazz on and with Marjorie.
With the law enforcement that retires, a lot of times people lose purpose if they're not involved. Some of those suicide retired guys that had no purpose anymore, and they, unfortunately took that route.
They can join a committee on the act.
Yeah, they could. So that, yeah.
It gives you purpose, trust me.
And for example, I'm gonna get to the stats in a second, but the overall stats for June, your crime rate is down 18%, how adults is down 47%. Now, everyone says, and the crime rate's been consistently lower since I've come on.
Okay. It isn't artificial to change the threshold.
So no, because our stats are not like the conviction stats. Our marching orders are crime still crime, bad guy still bad guy, take it back out of jail. If the DA doesn't want to file on it, a lot of the things that the DA won't file anymore is like stalking, right? So if you're being stalked, So if I don't go and arrest your stalker, you're going to stalker there. 30 times, and the 31st time you murder her, guess who's gonna fall? It's gonna fall on us. So we don't want that look. Now, if we arrest you 30 times and the DA doesn't do anything, you murder, like, hey, we did our job.
Yeah.
The buck fell on the DA. That's not on us. And we're two separate entities, and our standing orders have always been your job. You get paid to take bad guy in, period. Three ways and an excuse. This is a map of every crime from the year. I know you can't really see it, but you can see the black dots. They're all on the green. A lot of it is AMPM gets hit all the time, and it's not people from the community. It's people from Lancaster who stop in, they commit a crime, and they leave. Unfortunately, that falls on us, right? So it's kind of one of those things. And in the trailer park, as you can see.
No, that's trailer park, right, nothing there.
It shouldn't be, and that's on the state now, right? The thing is that
It's on the fence.
on the feds, I'm sorry.
Where's trailer park?
The Smith.
The Cactus Creek, the unpermitted illegal one.
So, then for call of service, this month, the stats are always going to be produced. I'm always like a month behind because they're not in, obviously, in the month, so this is all for Jim. For this year, we had 357 calls in Acton for the month of June. 260 of those were ops, which are proactive policing. That's deputies still doing their job and doing traffic stops. And that's huge because a lot of places, they're just sitting in parking. They're just going to their calls. They're not actively doing, you can't be like a firefighter going, hey, knock, knock, is there a fire in here? Right? But we can be proactively jamming people up. Hey, checking them out, talking to them, hey, you have warrants, what are you doing here, what's going on? And that shows that they're being proactive. I'm not making 260 stops a month, I can tell you that. So that, and then compared to last year, we had 406 so this year was 357 with 170, and last year was 406 with 260 ops.
That's a big drop.
That's a big drop because we also have less personnel, and that's what it contributes to. Deputy Bus will be, as you can see, he is the most hardest working deputy on our in-services is Deputy Bus. That's what we call him.
Bus, yeah, you bus.
Yeah, they literally bust the unit because we can't fill it. So Deputy Bus he's a hard working guy. He works like 4 or 5 spots each shift. As far as our stats, in June we had 0.1 crimes, but for the year total we had 11. Last year we had 7. Small numbers. Your homicides, your rapes, and your aggravated assaults. Okay, so mostly, and I was noticing this. I always thought it was part of the robbery ones were part of that, but apparently it's not. So that it's mostly domestic violence in that case. So we haven't had any homicides this year. We've had 0 rapes, but it's been a lot of domestic violence. As far as our property crimes, which does include the armed robberies, we've had 1 robbery. That was at the Shell. And that was at the beginning of June. And that's 34 for the entire year. Those are residential burglaries, or vehicle thefts. Burglaries, we've only had 3 residential burglaries, and they've all been unknown times, which means that people on vacation kind of thing.
So this is the burglary of the bank.
So the burglary of the bank is the robbery, and that's a little bit different. That would be July. Okay, this is just for June, not for July. Bank is actually before. I was actually looking it up. I thought it was earlier than that. The last time they got hit was in 2016. Speaking of the burglary of the bank, our response time, the first unit was there in 5 minutes. The next 3 units, when he rolled in he was rolling by himself, were 11 minutes out. So at that time, the actual unit that's assigned to the area was there within 5 minutes. I don't know because it's an FBI investigation. They don't tell us.
Yeah.
Anything inside the bank, all we do is respond to be safe. And then FBI takes over. I think their success rate is somewhere in the 90% that they catch these guys. The other issue that came up, I was talking to the responding units today about it. They had an interesting time with bank staff. Apparently, their corporate policy is not to cooperate with us and tell us suspect descriptions. So they had to get approval from corporate before we can even get a crime for our guys.
A lot of us are customers that we should talk to them.
So So that was brought to my attention, and I was like, because I was wondering about that, because we had CHP, like something like that goes out, we do a prime broadcast, and we do it like highway patrol immediately and stuff like that, because we're the exit points, right? We have the highway, so we can have CHP set up on there, so hey, flash it in, blah, blah, but if there's a 15-minute delay, that's huge, that is huge. So for the crime rate, it's a 57% increase in Part 1 crimes for the month, but a 29% decrease on property crimes, which gives you an overall crime rate of 18% less than last year. So that's where we are for June. Yeah?
It hasn't affected us for
I'm
years.
sorry, that rating in my ear. Say one time?
It hasn't affected us for years, but I see in the community quite often people have vans up. And they buy
Yeah, there's some of it, and it comes and goes in waves and stuff. Right now, we actually haven't had any in a while, but like the apartments are getting hit quite a bit. Yeah, not much yet. So it does come from time to time. It's a crime of opportunity. You know, it just depends. You know, that's why I always tell people like do one of the credit bureaus, like freeze your credit and stuff like that. It doesn't affect your credit, but then no one's able to open up any accounts under your name, because that is going to happen all the time. And more, whether we like it or not, we have to move our stuff online. Like, I don't pay any bills through a hard check. Everything's online, it's all compromised.
I meant like the postal service.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it hasn't happened in a while, but it does happen. And that could be yeah, it's reported as crossing around. No,
No commercial burglaries in the month of June?
I have residential, see, once. So for June, we had 1 burglary, and then we had 3 others. So that could be part of that. Okay, so the 3 others could be other structure. So that could be it.
And what about physical assaults?
Physical assaults in June were 0, but for the year we're at 11. Right. All right. The other thing that keeps on getting brought up is the substation. Brady Watt has offered us for years a substation in Santiago Square. A couple of things. There's no manning. We're not a fire department. There's no one sitting at a station. The best you could possibly ever, or that will say they can't work with you, much like the bank is. No, that was a surprise to me, but that was like a corporate policy of not letting us know what the suspect description was. I heard this week, I guess Target had something where they're going to start penalizing targets if they call police on thefts. So we're not having any of that here locally. But that's the first of it. All the local establishments are very pro law enforcement, and you know they work well with us. You know, most of the time it's an issue like cameras and stuff. It's expensive to get good quality nighttime cameras. So some of these commercial burglaries that do happen at night, we have great footage of it, but we can't read license plates. We can't do anything because the money isn't there to up the cameras, and we try to do our best. In the city, we have a thing called FLOP, safety, which is pretty much anywhere you go from Lancaster and Palmdale, your plates are being read at almost every single intersection. So with us inputting them very quickly, we're catching stolen cars and just immediately getting pursuits a lot more now, because it's an app-based thing. Like anything else, like these cameras, they didn't come from the government. It's a third party. Third parties make a lot better software and equipment than governments do, as we all know. And so it's very user-friendly. We all get push notifications to go, hey, that guy that you just put in for a stolen car driving eastbound on the street, or blah, blah, blah. And we can get it quickly. Out here, the nice thing is we love our freedom, and we don't have that government overreach. We also don't have plate readers because we don't have any traffic lights. So it's kind of one of those things. No, I mean, if it was one of those things where you want to push the board of supervisors to put something out here, you guys think about how much freedom you're giving up and what kind of safety you're really going to get to it. I'm a big freedom guy. I like the fact that we have autonomy out here and kind of, you know, you have your privacy. So that's how you guys want to deal with that. Does anyone have any questions before I take any more time? No? Okay.
So what's your thoughts on, I know a lot of the problem is there's people that are not, they're dropping out, like you said, your rookies or your trainees.
If you have anyone that wants to join.
Do you think we get a prosecutor there actually do something, you think that'll motivate and help change that eventually?
That and a new sheriff. Yeah, sheriff.
Yeah.
That's the problem, because they're up in the bus and they're running.
Yeah, Prop 47's on the ballot. I mean, I can't really tell you which way to vote, but do your research.
Everybody votes.
Yeah.
Because there's DA, or 47.
Oh, yeah, well, it's very good.
No, on the ballot, it's the referendum.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
On the ballot in November is a proposition to roll Prop 47 back.
Yeah.
So you've got to vote.
So a lot of the things like prior
Vote.
to Prop 47, if I and 10 of my buddies entered the 7-Eleven and ransacked the place, I could articulate that they conspired to commit a burglary, right? That it wasn't enough of just, I'm gonna go there and steal a candy bar. I'm coordinating with other people and I can articulate a burglary. I am working in conjunction with others to commit a crime and not be a felony. Prop 47 took that away. It's not a 950 threshold. That, depending on how you look at it, it's not the worst thing in the world. It's the fact when your people are coming in, this isn't like I'm stealing food from someone, right? This is like I'm stealing stuff and I'm coordinating with other people. That's a burglary. And these are always be a burglary. You're always going to be felony taxes.
So, I know, like you said about the staffing shortage, this has been going on since COVID.
Yeah.
2020. What's been done thus far? Has the sheriff done anything?
They're trying, we're always hiring. They're trying to do more competitive. I think the last thing I heard is they're probably going to allow beards pretty soon. They're trying to I know that sounds stupid, but San Bernardino, and this is actually big for the younger guys. Visible tattoos and beards are a big thing. You tell a lot of these guys to come out of the military, hey dude, you can't show you got to shave, you have your sleeves and everything covered up. And they're like, well then I'm going to go do something else where I can't show my stuff. I don't have any tattoos, but that is something for the younger generation, and that's what we got to look at. What's the case on? I mean, it is what it is. And that's from what I've heard, the tattoos are going to be a no-go for sure, but the beards are probably going to come in the next year or so, which outer vests are a big thing. Like for me, I'm 40 years old now, and my back isn't what it used to be. This takes a lot of weight. I'm carrying about 40 pounds of equipment on me 60 hours a day. It's a lot. It's wear and tear, and this helps a lot taking it off your hips. And this was a big push because this looks unprofessional and too tactical. So things like these that save your back are things that we're trying to work on to say, hey, look, there's still longevity in this job and stuff like that.
So what is in the requirements?
They've done that too, but
Just insane.
yeah.
So is there anything that we can do to help?
Encourage anyone that wants to join. That's really it. Like we need. When I went through the academy, I had 150 people in my academy class, right? Right now, we are lucky if we get 30 in a class. And remember, the sheriff's department also trains other agencies. So it's not just our people. So out of those 30, 18, 20 are going to graduate. And out of those 20, 5 or 6 of those are going to be other agencies. So the numbers just don't add up for how many retirement and attrition that we're having. And guys get hurt. Unfortunately, some of us die. People move. It happens. And it's not always just getting shot. People have heart attacks. Things happen. You have cancer, all that. Just like the regular population, we're not Superman. We're getting the same stuff, and we have the same attrition rates as the general public. Disability, get a bad car accident. Car accidents take us out all day long, way more than bullets.
Here's a question for those of us who have experienced crime personally, a 2-hour response time for multiple 911 calls for the same incident, a physical assault and Dodge Chiles, a 2-hour response is not acceptable.
When was that?
I believe it was in April.
Okay.
And there was a reason behind it, but even if that reason is not acceptable, to the community members and business owners.
So if it's on a Saturday night, and I'm just kind of hypothetically spitball here, I don't know exactly all the certain incident talks about. If we have a couple of PSVs, gunshot victims, right? And we get there and there's a bunch of gang members and stuff, we got to transport people to the hospital, our personnel gets tied up real quick on other stuff. So it's not unusual. I think last 2 Saturdays ago, I was working day shift, and we had 3 gunshot victims in before 10 a.m. And out of here, in Palmville. And so now you have the city units are all on this, they're interviewing people, they're bringing in Texas, it takes a little bit of time to get stuff.
That's happening on a daily basis though in Palmville.
They don't have personnel. What happened to the Explorer program? Didn't they have,
We still have
high school or high school?
We still have them, they came out to the parade, they were the ones leading the flags. Don't miss the parade.
So, as a department, basically you guys do not satisfy our needs here in action.
We are for the most part covering the, you're spread thin.
And you didn't, I've described it as a broken window stereo, and that is not being addressed by you guys. You're only responding to the
I respond to all the broken down trailers and
how many
stuff like
arrests
that.
have you made?
What's that?
How many arrests have you made for vandalism? How many arrests have you made for just the small quality of life crimes that are occurring in and around?
Most of my arrests are domestic violence and suspects still active. Right,
But it goes to my point again. So you're spread thin. You can't address what's happening within our neighborhood, within our community. So what do you suggest for us?
How do we help you get more?
What can we do for you? Even me as an individual, what can I do?
So part of it is reporting it to me or the station and not Facebook. A lot of times this is big pet peeve of me. I am on a lot of the Facebook groups, and you guys will see me comment here and there. I try not to get into it with people. I try to kind of speak. But the only reason I'm on there is because sometimes I don't go down every single road every day. I won't know about some dude or some homeless encampment happening until a month goes by because I haven't driven by that place and I don't know about it. I can't fix or try to address what I don't know about. And instead of like people complaining on Facebook and saying, no, send me a call, let's tell me. I don't know where she is. I call her so much, you just out and so, hey, what are you doing? I think that's who I am, it's a private number, she knows what it is.
Yeah.
She's like, do you hear about this? I'm like, no, I didn't, we go check it out. You know, and I need more of that. Because I have no problem, I'm with you on the broken window theory. There's some trailers, like just basically, if there's a broken window and no one does anything about it, no one cares about the community, there's a broken window. Well, we have these people dump trailers. She's like, yeah, we do some trash all the time. And it's really good for her because she's keeping our community clean at the job and hopefully discouraging other people from doing it. Some of the trailers I haven't been able to deal with on private property. If they're on public roads, I take care of them. You know, if I still got to work within the confines of the rules.
For example, that one behind the nursery.
That's on private property.
So, and
Property owner has to do something about it, and so company won't touch it.
Did you respond to payments in the paper?
What's that?
Do you respond to emergency calls?
Yes. I respond to emergency calls all the time.
Within our field?
Yes, so unlike the other units, I'm old years and analysis. Okay? And part of it is covered. From the Shen down and from Capra, which is the tunnel down.
So I guess you took my entire agenda item, but as far as what my husband was trying to say is what can we do? In other words, I know there's federal grants out there. I know that there are, that there are cities or counties, small cities that get together, retired LAPD, off-duty police officers. Is that something that we could do? Is there money in the city of Acton where we can get some sort of.
So my question would be the liability, right?
Yeah, right.
So if you have private security and they're not 831 PC, you guys know what that is. What is the liability? Because you're not going to just put hands on people. They can inform, they can call, right?
Don't worry about the prosecutor, let them go anyway.
That's it.
A lot of it is, for example, and these are like the small things that maybe don't seem like they're important, but our Alex always had our back. You know, our former sheriff, you come down to the station. We've always been the redheads that travel up in Antelope Valley. We're outside of Antamine, and we usually don't get a lot of brass up here. So we're kind of on our own, but that's okay. We don't mind, and we'll work with what we got. He would come out on a regular basis and say, hey, how can I help you?
He came to meetings and invited us.
Exactly.
I've been at meetings.
So it was a different animal. For my birthday last month, we always get, Sheriff's Department the sheriff always sends you an automated email. I know it's an automated email, it's not him personally doing anything, but it always comes from the sheriff, thank you for your service and giving me happy birthday. This year was first year in 18 years that I got it from our mental health, like the employee health, mental health, right? So it's, I know it's a petty thing, but it's a disconnect from how we've always had it. Our sheriff leads us, and it's part of it, what's our duty. This guy's an outsider, he was never a deputy, he came from, a different PD, and it's a different animal.
So to kind of wrap on what we're going to do, people get very disillusioned with federal voting and all, go on all night about that. But your vote really matters and local matters. It's deeply personal, and what little towns like ours can accomplish rings bells, all around for other communities and even outside of our state. And it allows people to see that we can be effective. So local politics is really where it's at. You can be as bitter as you want about federal, hate them all, but do read up, close and actually close to you for their advice. So we shared your values.
I don't have a question, I just have a comment. Again, I'm new here, but it might be kind of opposite of what everybody else here is saying. But I'm originally from Wisconsin, so I'm kind of like moved small rural areas. When I first moved out here, I was like, I thought you guys had lives, like from what I'm used to. So I'm just trying to give you a different point of view from somebody else.
So something a little bit like the whole, like where the small town you came from, that's what my position is. So resident deputy, some of the oldest, there's only 8 of us in the entire department, not every station gets them. Yeah. I live local. You are my neighbors. And that's why I care and try to do my best to take care of the small quality of life issue stuff. And then yes, I do respond to all the big stuff too. But I'm also out of the schools, because the school deputy for all sites. I try to get to know all the kids, and as I've been here now 6 years now, I think, some of the kids that when they first started are going through high school and stuff, and yeah, when there's a fight, they might not tell me there, but I get a phone call. Hey, this is what happened, blah, blah. And that's because I go ahead and go during lunch break and chit chat with them, talk to them, and do all that, and that starts them on the things and hang out. If you see me at Metal Arc, that's where I write my reports to get next to the best, and I hang out there, because I'm pretty sure as parents, you'd rather be sitting down, write reports at the elementary than, underneath the tree somewhere, at least in case something ever happens.
You guys are like very visible when I first, you guys are still very, I feel like I see you guys all the time, to be honest, maybe not as much as everybody else here, but like I said, coming from someplace else that didn't have just as small as here, we didn't have any, 4 or 5 things that you guys have here, so we have whatever, he was talking about, trying to. No, I understand, I was just wondering. Oh, yeah.
Thanks for bringing that up, so that he knows how visible you are.
Yeah,
We appreciate your.
I don't take it personally.
Substation with community volunteers.
I mean, you could. One of the issues that came up last time was liability. Our contract law does not want to take on the liability.
Liability for sitting there taking reports.
Of having a county another. So that's a contract law thing, so they didn't want the county building, so that we started negotiating towards the end of this report, kind of fell off. So we had to put a camera in 2019, what they weren't going to allow us to have county access computers. They didn't want there to be a breach of security on them. Our volunteers, you might see them on the road, Tammy would used to be one of them, and they drive the white vehicles, and they're out pretty much every day. I see them like on them every single day. And they, they help us with cited cars and stuff like that, getting the ball rolling on the 72 hours and all that good stuff, and calling the stuff in for us. So when they're out here taking reports, they don't take reports, they're volunteers, they're like 80 years old.
More like a neighbor watch.
That's pretty much the thing with your comms stuff, and they're helping us like I said, citing cars and this and stuff.
We moved here in '92, and back in '92, we were having an issue. Somebody was vandalizing the schools, tagging that. So a community watch group was formed. It was part of a lot of firemen when they were off duty, a lot of police when they were off duty, were volunteering, and they would
meet up and they put two people in a car and they would go sit and basically babysit like schools and or shopping centers. And they of course couldn't lay hands on anybody, but they were a deterrent.
You could actually do that.
Yeah, so they were a deterrent and they actually, they caught the
Scary thing is, now they're here.
yes,
That's why you don't say, I mean,
no, it's fine, yes.
Americans.
So, I work with the sheriff's department. Okay, I work in the administrative portion of the sheriff's department. And you're asking what can be done. So what can be done is that you need to reach out, first of all, our budget is not the sheriff's department budget. It's given to us by the board of supervisors. They give the allocation. They are responsible for filling. They have allocated positions and they don't open all of them because they want to save money. So then somebody in their chief executive office makes a decision to, okay, to run your budget in order for you guys to run, we're going to fill 14,000 of your positions, but 1,000 of them aren't going to get filled.
No funding.
There is funding. They're choosing not to fund that because we are allocated those positions, so the positions are available to be filled. They have chosen, somebody has chosen, not the board of supervisors themselves, but their chief executive office who makes the analysis. So if you want to write to anybody, I would say that you write to the board of supervisors.
Conversation.
Until I was told to, it's not a money issue. If we fill those spots, we can't fill them. If we create those item numbers, we don't have a personnel. Because we're not filling, we're at 50% capacity right now.
By the way, what you don't know is that Lancaster, Palmdale, I believe that Lancaster and Palmdale have the worst numbers as far as, say there's 30 people that graduated. No, it has nothing to do with them, it has to do with personnel. It has nothing to do with them. They'll turn around and they'll say, Palmdale gets 5 bodies at this breakout. What is 5 bodies going to do for a station? It's not going to do anything. Every time they have a special team, which they did for that grant, the federal grant, and the whole FEC thing, they turn around and take them from the station. They don't ask you, they take them. You have no choice but to give them, and they don't give you a replacement, but they give you overtime. And that's why the overtime numbers keep going up and up. So I would say that you need to complain to the board of supervisors that one vehicle for the logistical here, on the dual take, what you said, a little walk or all that, that's what you need to complain about. That needs to look, they can't just look at the population and the numbers, they need to look at the geographic amount of space, right.
So maybe what we can do is, maybe if you can, could you email us the, because I didn't write fast enough, number of cars we have in each area.
Yeah, so we have 2 on day shift,
Okay.
4 deputies on PM shift, okay? Plus myself.
Ashton and Underwood.
Yes, the West County cars. That
Oh,
was
so
Beverly.
it's Little Rock too.
No, not Little Rock, that's East County.
Oh, I'm
So
sorry.
they have their own deputies, they have 4
So
deputies
it's
on
Antelope
there.
Valley, Nenat.
No, Enac, Santa Cruz. So it's,
That's, I'm sorry, yeah.
I will say Ashton, Lake Hughes, Green Valley, and Leona Valley. So they have their own resident deputy too. So they have their resident deputy, and they share the 2 during day shift, the 4 during PMs, the 2 during earlies. East is the same way, they're set the same way. They have a resident deputy, they have 4 on PMs, 4 on days, or 2 on earlies. That's only because Little Rock is on more trying to meet. What's the watch for people? It's staggered. So one of them is at 10, one's at midnight. And then right now during the summer, we have that no call car, that's that extra one that kind of goes wherever it's busier. And they are, I was running some of the calls, like party calls, and the guys that are on right now, normally they're just trying to jam stuff up, actually responded to a few of the party calls and stuff on the weekend, so they're going routine calls. So that's good. I was talking to them, I was like, hey, I appreciate it. And I also try to like make sure that when I run the numbers and stuff like that, I'll call guys and go, hey, dude, like, we need to get a little better on this, and I get it. We have a younger station, very younger station. Plus in Lancaster, we have a younger personnel, and guys that are retired, and a few guys that are retired in the audience know that you're chasing that box when you're young, and it's hard not to. And it's having the discipline to say, hey, no, this is my reporting district, and I gotta stand it. So that takes discipline, especially when the grade is blown up the whole time.
And they get used to it, tell you, these guys, the criminals, they know where to go, where there's not going to be an officer sitting. Like, let's say, like Crown Valley Pharmacy.
So that was a burglary group from President. And they were getting up and down.
He just hit 5
Right. And we made it so any call, regardless if it's routine or not, it's an audible or not, every call that to that pharmacy is an emergency call. The last time the guy hit, he canceled us because he thought there was no exterior. It was internal. It was just a motion, internal motion with nothing else. So he canceled. He can't. Whoever's in charge of the thing, they're going to the dentist's office. They went to the 2x4, so no entry point sensors were going off. He thought a prescription came in at night, and the fax machine, because of the air conditioning fluid, can cause the motion to happen. So he canceled us. Stuff like that happens.
You said something earlier about license, watching license plates. Did you guys?
Yeah, so like in the city, we have a block system.
In the city, but not here.
No.
Why don't we implement something like that?
And that's up to you guys. Like I said, you're trading off privacy for possibly some security. And then we don't have stoplights, or we don't have.
Yeah, we don't have the traffic.
We don't have some of them,
But couldn't the community donate to get something like that together, or wouldn't that be something that everybody's concerned about that? We'd have to pull together, the community donate, put the poles in. I'm a licensed contractor, that's why I'm here today.
Well, it keep, maybe, I mean, I don't know that we want the town. Okay, the purpose of the Atchison County Council is to hear from the community, and then we ask the county. We're not a city like that.
Yes.
We have no, we're not paying.
So what can we do as a community? What can we do to help them?
Yeah, so I'm
Just to
thinking
beat
about
crime and see, I don't really see that crime. I've seen crazy outfits.
the cameras that you're talking about, maybe in the hotspot areas.
Well, like off ramps, as long as it's on the off ramp, getting people's license all night. If something were to come down, we go back and we get the film and look at the license plate number. We could do that on every exit, and that would just be something that would help them. If something did happen, we go back and look at the license plate numbers and go, okay, let's run these and see what's going on. That would be easy, and that would be not that expensive, I don't think.
Well, I guess what we can do is like find out from me if there are places that are hotspot cameras would be helpful to you guys. And then you could
I mean,
talk about it.
like you said, the off-road, the on-ramps and off-ramps, yeah, that would be helpful. But then again, that's saying it's a privacy issue. Like you're giving up a lot.
Some of us live here because of the fact that we are free and have privacy and liberty.
That's right. Well, that's what the community has to.
The other problem is, I have a small town here, and I've got all kinds of cameras. So does my neighbor and one next.
But you have control.
That's right, but it doesn't make a difference because they're always in hoodies, and 90% of the time it's a stolen car.
Or they have a nice
Usually it's like a rental car.
Yeah, rental, or the stolen ones that they drive it through the place, like a liquor store next to me. You know, they've done that, and then a lot of the time, you know, it doesn't matter. They're in hoodies, and they know that the rotation is so far out, the freeway's right there, they're in and out. You know, it's just, I don't know. A lot of them, they're recruiting these. I was born in San Fernando Valley. I see what's going on here. I don't trust me. I don't know why. I expect it these days. They're recruiting these youngsters, and they're just getting slaps on their hands. So until we start putting these red bars, and even when they say 10% of them, 10% of them say, "Wow, I'm not going to do this anymore."
Right.
But right now, they're out low down, you know.
That's why this Prop 47 is called on this.
It's huge. I know, I understand that, but for now, it's just, we're
That's
so
not
what?
November. It's coming around the corner. It's in the getting up down.
Yeah.
Oh, I
We need to vote differently, there needs to be consequences. That's ultimately what's going to resolve our issue.
But none of that will happen until our prosecution system is fixed.
Right.
Well, meanwhile, there's a shortage. How do we do stuff to help out him if there's a shortage as a community? What can we do to make things better?
We're in a bad spot, but we got prosecuted.
Yes. The vote, and how to do that under.
That's not good.
Oh, it will.
The reason why I came here today, can I see a little bit? I want to buy a piece of property and Acton and develop it and do something, and I want to hear what the community needs. Because I really want to build something just for me. I want to be able to build something that I can also use as a retirement that's going to bring income, but help the community. I heard you say you want something like a swimming pool or this or that, or some kind of a resort for you.
So, yeah, this doesn't have to do with at least we're not, yeah, we can't talk about something else unless it's about.
Well, that's why I came here. That's why I want to ask the community what you guys want.
Okay.
Car lot.
Send us an email, we put you on the agenda. So.
Yeah.
Okay, so, Miss Ray, Miss Ray, correct? Are you Miss Ray? Are you Miss Ray?
Yeah.
Did you have anything else you wanted to add, or did that kind of pick up this one?
No, I guess what I'd like to add, because I am speaking for a lot. I went out last weekend and I went to every single store in our town. I spoke to them, I spoke to most of them, gave them a flyer to be here, they weren't here, they said I could speak for them. Frustration, major frustration at the crime that's going on is not being dealt with. And it feels like complacency, and the more you let it happen, the more it's gonna happen. And we're gonna start losing our stores. Stores that I don't wanna lose. We don't wanna lose down Chateau. I don't wanna lose my Commodore Pharmacy.
Back in the
Where's the bank?
years, the broken issue 600.
Yeah, I mean, it's, yeah. Let's we need to come up with something together collaboratively that we can get away with, or that we're allowed to do. That, where it deters, deterrent is huge, I mean, absolutely.
Well, so one of the things that, okay, just so everybody knows, the Acton Town Council is made with volunteers. We're not a county agency. Acton is not a city. It's an unincorporated community. And all we try to do is keep our eye on what's going on and try to interact with state, federal, and local officials to make sure that they don't affect our community together. But we have committees, and we can develop ad hoc committees. We can form a committee that's, looking at public security and safety. But the problem is that what we need. Yeah, and the chair is normally the council member, but it doesn't have to be a council member. So if we can have, if people are interested, like we really want to reconstitute the Parks Committee too. So if people are interested in that, send us an email. And I apologize, I'm the correspondence secretary, but I've spent the last 3.5 weeks dealing just with the PUC proceedings, and we'll talk about that at best later.
Well, thank you for getting me on the agenda.
This is important, and I think what Judge said is we understand the importance, and we too, that it's been top of mind for a long time. Yeah. We've tried to get the substation. There's been lots of things we've tried to do.
We've been talking about it.
But yeah, I mean. And so to that point, it also helps to have a voice that's not the people up here in the county here all the time. That's ringing the bell. And so what we're hoping for is that there would be some folks that would be interested, like yourself or anybody in this room, that says, hey, I think public safety thing is really important. I'd like to get involved, and we will happily carve out a spot. You can and help.
We'll have committee meetings and
help organize it to get things moving.
Yes, and we can do things like authorize somebody to speak during the public comment. We do that all the time with the county. I caution you though, when you speak to the board during the 3 minutes, you be focused and on point, and you say what you need to say and be hard hitting. No cursing and no anger and no. I'm not saying that you would. I'm just saying you need to be because our town council has a problem with the county. And I will articulate. We tend to be one of the most vociferous communities in the whole county. I mean, to the board of supervisors. If there was one community that you asked the board of supervisors, yes, exactly. So that for a while it was so bad that we actually were told by Regional Planning Commission that in our letters we had to report what the vote was on it because they literally thought one person was just saying this stuff and we weren't really talking about this community. So we've had problems with credibility because we do hit a million issues, but we need to be focused and not waste their time, not waste our time, but we absolutely need people to volunteer for these committees, and, because we can't do it all, and,
And this lady is correct that, speaking at the Board of Supervisors, when you bring a large group down there, they're very, well aware of different groups here that go down there, and they respect us.
Which is why having a committee, do things, let's say, hey, let's organize something, we're all going down, this is what we're gonna speak on, we can help out. Are you gonna?
Yeah, I just have a quick question. I'm all for the development of these committees. What would the time commitment look like on, obviously not exactly, but an approximate on a monthly basis?
So we meet twice a month,
Okay.
but the committees can meet whenever. So really what it boils down to is whatever the committee gets organized and feels like they want to set to meet. I mean, Tammy's inadvertently kind of organized the committee with the cleanup stuff.
Yes.
And you can see, kind of that commitment.
She spends a lot of time.
She spends a lot of time, but other members, come and go and as they have time. So
I'm willing to participate on a committee.
That would be great.
I'm a project coordinator for a company out in Santa Maria. I'm a consummate professional. I'm good at running meetings. I'm good at staying on task. However, I do have a finite amount of time.
Sure.
So 5 hours a month is something that I would be willing to do.
That would be.
that's amazing. And see, that's what we're talking about. Is if everybody can contribute, or several people contribute a little bit, it's going to move more than nobody.
Right.
So that's why I think that's awesome. I would say, in this room, email us, and then we can gather those names together, and we're happy to coordinate and get something organized, and we can organize a first kind of get together, get that going.
And we can do ad hoc committees for just one thing, like a high-speed rail, and there were points in the last 8 years where we had a lot of work over a month. 2 months, it was bucket loads of work, and then 8 months with nothing. Or we have standing committees that are all the time, but since they're not filled, nothing gets done on
Yeah,
that.
so I agree with what Ray said, the fact that you have to do something in our community. And it's important to preserve businesses here, because I don't want to drive to Tomball. We all know that's right. And driving to Santa Maria is a half an hour. So I don't want to drive an hour and a half to run an errand.
That's right.
Okay, so if you are interested in that, we can email.
I just wanted to mention that I've noticed that Tammy uses the resource of next door neighbor for communication purposes, where it doesn't necessarily have to be a person's email or a list. And I know quite often when my community, doing this email here for the meeting. So what I am suggesting is that if people do want to head a project, that maybe they throw it out on next door neighbor, because next door neighbor for Acton, and it's visible.
Yep, I think
It's visible without anybody committing or without anybody, and they still have the opportunity to do so. And contact and connect.
And the town council needs that community support. It needs those individuals so that can step up and do that. Your plates are full.
Good job. Well, and that's a great suggestion. So I think, as for the committee. Thank you guys all for coming out and making, wish heard.
We have a lot of other really important issues.
Yeah, I hope you guys hang around at least a little bit.
So everybody that's here, like, the biggest thing you can do is literally call the sheriff's station. Like, if there's an issue, if there's a problem, like you said, don't report it on Facebook, nobody cares. I mean, nobody can actually do that on Facebook. You'll get 20 different opinions on it. But I have done, people have called me and said, what should I do? That's a 911 call.
Yeah.
That's you call the station, and you can call, call the station. You don't have to call 911, you can call the station number, and report it, just report it, or call Debbie Martinez, he's super available,
And then they'll show up on the staff system.
Yes, and that's the important. Yeah, that's the key. What would be great is to have that show up so that often when we go down to the board of supervisors, we have something to rattle rather than they look at it and go, well, Palmdale's way worse than you. It's like, well, yeah, but we still have crime.
I'll admit, I did report a couple of the break-ins, and it didn't take nothing. Well, they're too busy anyways. But now looking at the bigger picture, and here in Tammy all the time when next door, report it.
And have a notepad next to your phone. Of course, the people don't have phones anymore. But you know what I mean? Write down when you called, what you called about the date. Everyone else.
Okay. Well, thank you. We're gonna move on to the next thing. Jim, it's been a long time, but why don't you give us your library update?
I will keep it short for you guys. You guys already know all the events are on the website, and all the events, summer reading programs still going on. The one thing I want to touch base with you guys on, I sent you a few emails about cooling centers. So I know I would also want some clarification on to give you when they issue the excessive loan, provided I have a witness. Well, I do have a big screen here. You could also be phone. Yes. But that's something that's come up a lot in the last 3 weeks. I generally don't get a lot of it. I'll get the call that says, hey, tomorrow you're going to get cooling center 9 seconds. We make it happen. But I want to make sure you guys are aware that so when you're getting these emails from me, you have some idea what I'm talking about.
Appreciate it.
So unless anyone has any questions, that's fine.
And I apologize for not responding to emails in the last 2 weeks. I just hammered. So,
Good.
I actually, for the first time since I was in college, pulled an all-nighter. So it's like
A little bit different these days, though.
Yes.
Yeah. No, all-nighter with them. I'm good with that.
Yeah.
Anything else, Jim?
No, that's all.
Thank you very much. Thanks for your patience.
Yes.
All right, next up, water.
Okay, so this is an artifact of, okay, I went on behalf of, on myself as a resident of council, to several water meetings about the county water plan, and this community is, the way the water plan's written, there's not a lot of protections for our communities, and we've always been concerned about the county public works extracting more groundwater from the river and exporting it out of our basin, which would cause all surrounding people, everybody surrounding the river and near the river that are on wells to have their wells affected. So I managed to extract from Adam Ariki, who's the head of Waterworks District, a commitment to meet with us as a community, as a town council, or we have members of the committee, which we don't, to talk about specifically Waterworks plans. They've told us now for a while that they're going to be extracting another 1,000 acre feet, which is doubling their extraction rate out of the basin, which right now might not be such a bad thing because we've had a lot of rain, but it was terrible 2 years ago during that really horrible drought. So I just wanted this on the agenda because we need to reach out to them and have, it's a sit-down meeting with them.
Yeah,
that I managed to, it was like I was pulling their fingernails out and they finally agreed.
Well, I think to give everybody context in the room that hasn't maybe been in some of the meetings, some of the concerns are that a lot of the waterworks stuff has been focused on people who are on county water. So if you're on county water, they have their stuff they're doing there. However, the way everything is structured, there's no seat at the table for the folks who are on wells. So if you're on a well, which is most of the community, we have no seat at the table for what the heck they're doing out of that district, out of our thing. Even though we're in the district, we're not ratepayers, so we don't have any.
And they don't understand. It's like, well, we'll just pull out more water because that's what you need. It's like, no, when you pull more water out, especially for the RTG project,
Yes,
which is one of our concerns, then you draw everybody else's wells down, right? And so
we want to make sure that
it's starting to get through their heads.
Yes, and so we need to figure out some way that's ecumenical for allowing some input for the non-ratepayers to have a say in what's going on with the district. So it's kind of a catch-22. Yes, on one hand, you don't have to deal with the rates of we on the other hand, if you're a well owner and you're having to deal with decisions that are made outside of your.
What about gallons per minute? I mean, isn't that, they usually assess that when property is sold, and they're on a well. I think they have gallons per minute, and that can be monitored. I mean, it seems to me that gallons per minute would either be higher or lower depending.
Yeah, we're saying they don't care. So what they're looking at is they're looking at their public wells, and they're going to pull out 1,000 acre feet your personal well, they don't care what happens to it, it's not even on the radar. So if your well goes, if your well you did it 5 gallons per minute and it goes to 0, they're like, oh, let's
Go for water trust.
So there's no ramifications or liability on their part?
No, that's
what we're saying.
We're trying to get
that to be recognized as like, you can't do this because it's going to impact the entire community without.
One of the things I got extracted from one of the engineers there was that, that they would do a sequel analysis if they conduct the 1,000, if they pull that out. Regional planning said that was going to happen, but that's regional planning. And we're talking about public works, which is a much, I mean, we got a lot of problems with regional planning, but public works is like a giant monolith, right? That's blind and fat. They just grind down.
One hand doesn't know what the other hand is.
They don't have hands, it's just a block that just rolls over and it's okay. So, but we're finally making it work.
So that's been the bell we've been ringing now for several years. It's just like, hey, this, it's great that you're reaching out, but like, you need to take into account. I mean, Jack's point been made several times that on the town council, she's the only one on county water. Everyone else up here, which is also reflected in the community. Most everybody is not on county water. So whatever they're going to do with county water, that's great for those folks, but the majority of the community aren't those folks. And I'm going to guess, looking around, probably most of the landscape places around county water, most of us that have dirt front yards are not. So that goes to the whole other thing with the conservation stuff we've talked about too, which is, I guarantee you all of us on the well, for the most part, are conserving way more water than anyone in this entire state, or any city, anywhere. And when they come in and say, hey, more conservation, more conservation. It's like, man, I know how much water my household uses. And it's a fraction of a fraction of a fraction that anybody in a city uses. So,
well, we've made the point. If everybody in California were on water, there would be no water.
Yes.
There would be no drought problem.
Yeah, because everybody would be forced to figure out how you live on 4,000 gallons of water. So, anyway, just to give you some context, I know it's kind of like what we're talking about with water. It's a real important piece, I think, the lifeblood, essentially, of our community, which is we need, it's like no taxation without representation. No stealing the water out of the water basin without representation. We need to have folks on wells having a say in that conversation.
How do they keep our well goals on this issue?
Well, okay, so what's very good, what's driven it is this county water plan, which was adopted by the Board of Supervisors, and it demands the county to create, to self-source 80% of its water. Right now, LA County gets only 40% of its water from local sources, and it imports the rest. Well, they want to bring it all the way to 80%. Well, there is extensive documentation saying that's physically impossible. And so they put this plan together that said, well, one of the ways we're going to do is we're going to start extracting water from isolated basins, from underused basins. That would be Acton, right? Because, we only have, a couple of people here that are on. They don't think about everybody else who's not on water. So we fought for years this 80% thing, and it was adopted anyway. And that was, there were residents of this community that basically said, if you go forward with this, there will be a lawsuit. And so that's one of the reasons why we got this, extracted this, it's not a consensual commitment out of it, right? Exactly. So, so that's the foundation of this water plan. And now the whole county is bound to comply with it. And so,
created a miracle, coming up with 80% of the water.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
So
the opportunity is to be a member of the.
Is there any good things to get in the county? I don't know.
I think we need to form a committee to talk about it, because I can't think of any.
But the committee, they extract, but we also signed up to be on their implementation council for the water.
Thank you.
So that happened about 4 or 5 weeks. I don't know. Sometimes within the last 2 months. That's like.
Okay, so we just need to go and read off the stuff.
No, I just, yes, yeah. So I will email Adam tomorrow, but it's okay.
cannabis public meeting, and we touched on meeting anything else, just so you guys were to, so acting, the reason why this is unique here, it's not just because any of us have any particular bone to pick about it, is one, the committee overwhelmingly voted we didn't want that years back. We also have I want to say excessive, a large amount of property that is zoned where we are concerned that they would want to place stuff.
Lends itself.
Yes, and so the concern is that we're going to be, and you have to think of the county like this. The county's a county, but cities get to make their own rules on it, and so a lot of cities said, like, no, not here. And so then if you look at that map, you go, well, gee, unincorporated LA County, what is left that is in the city, but has these zones, and you kind of land at, like, Acton's got a lot of it. So the concern on our part, as a community, has been, we're going to end up getting adversely hit with this, even though our community overwhelmingly says, like, we don't want it here. We're going to get shoehorned here just because they got to stick it in the place, or they feel like they have to stick it in the place. So the concerns at this meeting in particular, Jack had kind of illuminated was, we don't know what it is, like that they're doing, so we're going to find out at the meeting what they're going to share on what the zoning is, because it's gone around and around of what they were looking at. And one of the things we push hard for was buffers, so like school, church, trying to get some zones. Yeah, homes, yeah.
They agreed to schools and church.
Yes. So looking at ways we could, kind of insulate and not end up being the dumping ground. Because here's the thing, I mean, as far as I know, somebody jump in and correct me if I'm wrong. Not a pot usually, I don't really know. If Palmdale and I believe Santa Cruz both are no-go zones, and so if they can stick it all here, you're right between the two.
So,
as an example, there's more industrially zoned property in the community of Acton than in all of unincorporated District 3, which is Lindsay Horvath's area. So, and a lot of these the things that they're thinking that are going to allow are on industrial zone property. But Acton has more industrial zone property than almost any community in the entire county, unincorporated.
So you're talking about selling?
All of it.
So one of the things I bring up is if they change the tax base, one of the problems they have is they tax it too high, so that drives it to the underground. For those guys that don't know, at one point we had 136 row houses out here, and we got rid of them within 8 months.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we got $2.5 million from the feds and had every narco detective that wasn't on anything major stationed at Palmdale Station for like 3 months, and we hit every single house.
It is impressive.
Yeah,
so,
great.
Yeah, so we got eradicated a lot of it. Also was Armenian mafia and stuff like that. Little Rock has more of the Mexican mafia, and like Lancaster, like LA has expressions of their Chinese. One of the things that helped us was the price of the property going down, because it's a return on investment. Like I told them, when we had meetings, like you're going to get your poison, you actually pick up this poison because these guys were cooperative, they answered the door, they wouldn't be armed, and it was a return on investment, right? If I had property for $700,000, I do a couple grows, I make my money, and then I sell the property for another $200,000 what I bought from it, right? So I'm making money on money and money. So return on investment, and that's it. And as soon as the market started dropping, they started remodeling and dumping. So that also helped us get rid of them. Right now, our turnaround time is about 3 weeks. So once you notify us, our narcos usually hit a house in about 3 weeks. I'm going to just plug this real quick. It's marijuana tips at LASD.org.
And it's anonymous.
It's not anonymous. What it is it's a stop. It's a air gap. So you contact, say, hey, my neighbors I believe it's a grow house. Then they might they want you to give them some information as far as like contact information for you, because they're going to go out there independently in their undercover vehicles, and these guys don't look like deputies. Yeah, just kind of look like you. They don't look like what you think a deputy looks like. Some of them walk with limbs, it's interesting. A lot of white looking dudes. And they'll go out there and they're going to create their own probable cause for the search warrant. And that way you're protected and they never have to include you because they formulate everything by themselves. But like anything like any neighborhood, we don't know what's down your road and all that other stuff. you have to tell us, hey, you ever moved in, put 60 panels on, and 8 air conditioning units on a 1,200 square foot house? And I don't know, something going at us. A lot of these have very good ventilation, so you might not even smell the marijuana. That's not even going to be a thing. And they try to stay off grid because Edison notifies us if the usage is not conducive to the square footage. So a lot of them you'll see a shit ton more of panels than they need. So by you notifying us, our turnaround time is really quick. They go out there, they do their observations, they edit it. They're not getting, the marijuana gets in the door, but what's the teeth that's hooking is because they're filing EPA charges on it because of the chemicals they're using. It's all hydroponic and it's a lot of organic chemicals. So the marijuana just gets our foot through the door. They don't really, it's not really a teeth on act. The state doesn't really care about that. But all the chemicals they're using, the feds then charge them, and that's what they're paying. It's marijuana tips at LASD.org. That goes directly to our narcotics detectives, and you're having basically a one-on-one conversation.
Can these properties then be seized and that money?
So we actually had, for a while, I don't know if they're still there, but at the height of it, we had 2 IRS agents, so it was 80,000 of them, we got 2 of them. They got put on advertisement, and they were trying to do a little bit of like, you're going after like whatever asset percentage. And access to them with our vets out. So then, no, they're still there, but that is always an effort to try to do what it. Again, the marijuana, it's not the issue it's just a piece of the door. Right. The stuff that's sticking is the EPA stuff.
Right.
So.
And then, yeah, so, because that would generate, if it could roll over and go towards bond.
So anything that's seized in the county goes to the general fund. Can't guarantee that it's going to be active.
No, never. You can guarantee it.
You can almost guarantee that like that. It goes to the general fund, and the general fund is for all of the county.
But now, my understanding, like when they go to say Buster Row House, they cut up all their plants.
Yeah, we do.
And they destroy the hydroponics and all that stuff.
So we used to take all the equipment, but we kept on getting sued when the charges would do the DA would not file or whatever, then we get sued for $200,000. So what we do is we take samples of the plants and cut all of them off. They cut the water lines and some stuff, just to make it harder for them to rebuild.
So, question for you. If we had a different DA, would it be a different situation? All right, that's why we need. I mean, I've never done it, I actually went to yeah. Oh. Yeah. Okay, so please come to meeting on July 20, and I will say this, because I looked at it, you know, when California voted to legalize marijuana, I looked at the voting records, and I looked at all the precincts, and there were 2 precinct returns that more than 50% of the people said no to. We were one, another one was down at San Diego Valley. So this community has spoken on this issue, so that's why we did very vociferous with the county, because the county, you people made it clear with that record. So I do want to make sure everybody understands that. So.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Best update.
Best update. All right, I think we should have a quick start.
Yes, you're thinking you.
Do you want to talk about this?
You go ahead, I'll follow up. I'll get into it. Well, I think Ruthie is our committee chair, or committee number 3 chair, for the best, ad hoc best committee that we have. Okay, I got a couple little things here. The court case has been just dragging. You're all probably on batteries in micromobility devices, also addressing firefighter dangerous little miles. He spun it to talk about best in Acton and hospitals. He spun it and stood up for us and he's starting to make the government there aware that these things need to be carefully considered when they're cited because they are dangerous if you do less than time. So he's been terrific. He actually recently passed a bill out of committee where he was able to get language in there, and the bill passed with no problem. And the language is diluting the exemption that DOE the Department of Energy was trying to get pulled over our eyes, basically. So he is pushing that through. He feels he has the votes on the floor of the House to get it passed, to be a done deal. And therefore, that exclusion will not be able to apply to a vest, that they still have to go through the environmental process. So thank you to my I don't have it with me, but he's got a Facebook page, and on Nicole's Facebook page, I try to transfer everything that he sends through Facebook. I try to put it on Nextdoor, because he's not active on Nextdoor, but I try to share it.
I think I saw you do that.
Yeah, and then I get slammed by people who think I'm being political, and I'm like, no, don't understand. This is not political.
Just the facts.
This is not political, and I don't hear Samantha Lewin shout from the rooftops if he does something good, just for a cause. Absolutely. So in speaking about the problems I get on Nextdoor, people thinking that it's political because I'm talking about good things with my Garcia. I've been kind of attacked lately. And so I went on Nextdoor and I purposely reached out to Ricardo Ortega, who's running for assembly under the Democrat ticket. And I reached out to George Whitesides, who I have met before, and at the Democratic Club I met him. And we were both guest speakers, and he's running for Mike Garcia's seat for the 22nd district. So I reached out to him to see if, and Mr. Ortega, to see if he had a position that he would like to publish for the residents of our community. What is your position on that? And I just recently published Mr. Ortega's response. It was a fairly generalized response because he does not know all the particulars about our case. But one thing he did say is he's realizing that location is very important for the safety reasons, and he would love to know more about our particular project. So I invited him to contact the town council to try to secure an agenda spot, and then maybe he could come and field questions from the residents and learn more about our particular issue. He might have done that. I've not looked at the correspondence. I said, yeah, this has all just happened in the last couple of days. And then George Whitesides and I are supposed to have I'm guessing, a video chat. Yeah, powwow. And he